Hello and welcome back to another episode from Driving Britain. Today's episode is a reaction video, a British person reacting to an American who's reacting to British sweets that you can't get in America.
Tiny chocolate pieces with a brightly coloured candy shell. This may come as a surprise to the uninitiated, as UK Smarties almost look like Skittles, only with a delicious chocolate centre. We think that a Smarties swap is in order.
Yeah, Skittles, that's it, not M&M's, Skittles. Yeah, M&M's, they're more round, aren't they? Yeah, Skittles oval shaped. Yeah, no, I forgot about that bit. But otherwise, essentially the same.
M&M's? And the other, what did we have before?
The minstrels are much bigger.
Minstrels? Yeah, Galaxy Minstrels, was it? Now.
Yeah, the minstrels there, if you bend the end of your thumb over, the bit between your nail and kind of the joint bit of your thumb, they'd kind of fit in that sort of space. Whereas the Smarties, they're more like the size of your little fingernail, maybe a little bit bigger, assuming you haven't got long nails.
There's been a few candies here that are kind of overlapping with the M&M's space. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I think it's just the pictures are deceiving.
Let's see how the other half lives.
Only Smarties have the answer.
Number 4. Kit Kat Chunky.
When I'm on a break and a chocolate craving hits, nothing beats a chunky.
Fact, everyone loves Kit Kats. But did you know that these classic chocolate wafer candies are a UK original? It's true.
Oh, I didn't know that. Kit Kat Chunky. Familiar with Kit Kats? For some reason, Kit Kats aren't the most... You don't see them that often, and I don't know why. Because they're really unique and actually pretty addictive. Kit Kat Chunky, I have to say. I like where we're going with this.
Kit Kats are developed and distributed around the world by Nestle and Hershey, but they were originally by the York candy company, Roundtree. We're particularly fond of the Kit Kat Chunky, a beastly bar that, as of yet, still hasn't made strong headway into the US shores. And we...
What? It's a giant, humongous Kit Kat. It's just one, and it's giant. This
Yeah, they are. It's basically all 4 fingers from a normal Kit Kat, but made into like one big finger. But they're probably 2 of your human fingers, 2 human fingers wide. And for the length of, they're rectangular in shape, so the width and the height is about the same. So 2 fingers wide, 2 fingers high. The length, if you get your 2 little fingers and stick them together so that your 2 little fingernails are touching each other, the distance between your 2 knuckles, so like the beginning of your little fingers each side, that's about the length. What's that? What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches, something like that. I mean, again, all the chocolate sizes have been reduced as some big reduced sugar and help with the obesity type initiative. The chocolate companies cut all of their product by about a third. They increase the cost as well, because obviously, you know, they don't want to take chocolate off you for nothing. They want to charge you for it. But yeah, so they're probably even smaller by now, but they're very, very nice. And it's probably a bit nicer than the single pack of like 4-finger type traditional ones.
should absolutely be in America. I would love
I'm surprised that they're not.
Americans would love this. It might even help the Kit Kat sales. People
I don't remember the
between you and
caramel
me
ones.
don't buy Kit Kats
They don't
all
sound
that
too
much.
nice.
I have to whisper like this is some dark secret. But if it was a giant Kit Kat with fudge peeking out like this one, that would be interesting. Be new. I like it.
We can sort of see why, since these fancier Kit Kats eat more like a meal than a snack, with heavy-duty variations like caramel and peanut butter giving us the best kind of tummy ache. 2 words, worth it.
I love it. I think
The
this
peanut
might
butter
be
one was a bit sickly.
one of the most promising to make the leap to the U.S. market. I'm not kidding.
Break. Have a new Kit Kat Chunky.
Number 3, Maltesers. Okay, so we can't ignore the proverbial elephant in the room by not mentioning the fact that Maltesers were originally intended as a sort of diet chocolate snack for women that were watching their figure.
Oh. Okay.
There's just a marketing ploy there.
Sexism aside, we'd argue that Maltesers are there for everyone. A malted milk chocolate ball that makes for a perfect cinema snack. They're
Okay, so they were originally meant as a diet? chocolate? Funny concept. Diet chocolate. Yeah, sure.
No, it's because, again, that's cinder toffee that's in the centre of it. Cinder toffee in a chocolate coating. They're round, they're about the size of your thumbnail round, like a marble. But because it's cinder toffee, it's got air holes in there, there's bubbles. So then you've technically kind of got less. If you was to crush it up, there'll be less there overall. And so they tried to market it as, oh, if you want some chocolate, have ours, because even though it seems like a normal chocolate bar, you're not getting as much sweet stuff, so it's going to be a lot better for you. So yeah, they did try to market it as a healthy idea for a chocolate bar. Not because it was, but just because they thought they would sell more, which they did, but not because of their ridiculous marketing, but because they're just really, really nice and very Moorish. They're like Pringles. You don't just open them and have one or two, you end up eating, well, all of them.
It's like, hey, this is actually just a good snack. So it's like a lighter malted milk ball chocolate thing. Okay. Americans, for some reason, don't tend to love stuff like this.
The bite-sized shape makes it easy to snack on a couple or a couple handfuls, whilst the Malteser flavour profile is just a wee bit lighter than your average candy.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing, When I have a chocolate ball stuffed into my mouth, you want to know it's there. You want to taste it. You want to feel it.
They are
I'm
nice.
not there to fool around and have a light chocolate, Oh, I kind of taste this. No. You're going to want to know you got a disgusting, unhealthy chocolate sweet in your mouth. So,
yeah, the main part to it is the cinder toffee in the middle, I guess, though. It's not quite as heavy as traditional cinder toffee. It is a little bit kind of not as strong in taste, I guess. So mixing with the chocolate makes it a little bit more unique, and that's one of the reasons that they're so popular.
I don't think this would work quite well in America, but cool concept. I get it.
But hey, we think that just makes it easier to eat more, right?
Better? Yeah, much better.
Number 2, wine gums. Some sweets on this list seem tailor-made for the export market, while others, well, let's just say we can sort of see why they haven't caught on abroad.
Some of these commercials are pretty funny, mostly because they're so weird. Wine gums. What does that mean?
It's misleading, that's what it means.
Do you use your gums to gum them? Is it because they're gummies? They're just kind of average little fruit chew gummy things? All right.
All in a name for the wine gum.
They're basically just jelly sweets. There's no wine in them, but they do have the names of different wine type things on them. Like, I don't know, port and things like that, which is a type of sherry. But they're basically just fruit flavoured jellies. Not super hard jelly, but not that soft either. Somewhere in the middle sort of marker. They're also quite boring. Quite nice, but quite boring.
Curious moniker for what's otherwise a kicked up, jellyful bean. There's no actual alcohol in a wine gum, with the overall flavour profile being a variety of fruit flavours that possess a goody gumdrop taste. Sugar, gelatin, citric acid, and your favourite fruit flavour.
Are these popular? These are actually popular in Britain? I wonder why. They seem kind of boring to me. No offense to the wine gum lovers.
Yeah, they're popular and still exist because they're one of the older sweets that's been around for a long time. So I think that there's a population that still buy them. But yeah, they are a pretty boring sweet.
But this seems this is just gummies. There's a million different types of these. I don't know about these.
Any way you slice it, they're delicious.
Set the juice loose!
Before we name our number 1 pick, here are a few honourable mentions.
Okay.
Fruit pastels, a childhood
They're quite
classic.
nice.
Our quest continues. Roundtree's fruit.
Fruit pastels are a bit like American wine gums, or hard gums. So it's a pretty tough kind of layer around a jellyish sort of centre. The whole thing's jelly, it's just the outside bit's a bit tougher. And they're basically dipped in sugar with quite vivid fruit taste. They're quite nice. And if you're quite tired, they're very good for picking you back up again because they're dipped in sugar.
Fruit pastilles with real fruit flavor. You can't help but chew.
Flake bars. Does what it says on the tin. Tasty and flaky.
Cadbury's Flake, the crumbliest, flakiest milk chocolate in the world.
Flaky. What does flaky even mean? Like, I get what I know what flake means. don't forget I said that. What does that mean in the context of a chocolate bar?
They're flaky because they do crumble when you bite into them. But it is a nice creamy sort of chocolate, but it's like spaghetti from spaghetti bolognese, like loads of strands of chocolate that's still kind of melting, and they're kind of twisted together at the same time. So like if you got loads of ready cooked spaghetti and you pushed it to be about the thickness of your finger or something like that, you imagine a creamy chocolate version of that. That's pretty much what a flake is. We would have them stuck in the top of an ice cream as well as a chocolate bar. But they are very, very messy because they break up when you bite them, because it's all these thin little strands of extruded chocolate.
Flaking off in your mouth as you kind of nibble on it?
Well, just as you bite it.
I don't quite understand.
Penguin bars. Chocolate, biscuit and cream. Yes, please.
Okay.
Pick up a new, more chocolate penguin.
Number 1. Jaffa Cake.
Penguins are basically 2 biscuits with a cream centre and chocolate on the outside. Get different flavours and they are quite nice.
Cakes. The United States may
Jaffa
not
cakes.
be up to date on Jaffa cakes, but we say give it time. It'll happen.
Yeah, I can't help but think that a lot of this list is just based around what the guy making the video. I don't mean Tyler, I mean the original video. They're just his preferences on what he particularly likes himself, because all the things that he's mentioned are quite nice, but there are a lot nicer other things out there that you probably or most likely also don't get in the US. Things like the Star Bar and the Karamak Bar and all sorts of other things. But the Jaffa Cake, that's an unusual one to pick. They are really, really nice and they're very Moorish, but it's quite unusual that he's put it on the list for sweets, because it's not really a sweet, it's a cross between a biscuit and a cake.
Is this anything like a Little Debbie snack?
I mean like a British biscuit, not your scone type biscuit. I don't know what a Debbie snack is.
If some people are familiar with that, or a Twinkie, or things like that, this is the first kind of item that reminds me of a snack cake. Snack cakes, packaged snack cakes, are extraordinarily popular in the United States. So I'm actually surprised. This is the first one that reminds me of that. Jaffa cakes. What does that mean? Like, what's the flavor? The name does not tell me too much.
Kind of tangy
Because
orange
why
again.
wouldn't you want to
Back to
get
orange.
down with such a perfect combination of tastes and flavours? You want sponge cake? We got your sponge cake right here. Jam, you say? Jaffa cakes have that too. And you just gotta have chocolate, right?
Yeah, it's not really jam, it's more of a solid jelly.
It's the holy trinity of snacking sweet deliciousness.
What? Chocolate sort of biscuit jam?
No, not really.
This is interesting. This caught me a little off guard because I thought this was going to be more of an American snack cake, because that's all I have to base this stuff on. This really...
Yeah, the bottom section, the main kind of heart of it, is like a sponge cake. Not crumbly sponge, it's kind of quite smooth on the bottom. So almost like a pancake even. Somewhere between a pancake and a sponge cake. That's the texture of it. In the centre, there's a blob. The guide said jam, but it's jelly. Usually quite tangy, orange flavoured jelly. And then there's chocolate poured all around it. Well, actually, the chocolate side, I guess, will be the bottom, thinking about how they'll make them. But when you're eating them, then you'll have the chocolate at the top. They are very nice, though.
He threw me for a curveball. I gotta hear the ingredients again.
Sponge cake right here.
Oh, sponge cake.
Of tastes and flavours. You want
Kind
sponge
of.
cake? We got your sponge cake right here. Jam, you say?
But it's closer to, like an American pancake rather than a sponge cake.
Jaffa cakes have that too. And you just gotta have chocolate, right? It's the holy trinity of snacking sweet deliciousness.
We just don't have jam thing that's popular in America. People use jam. from time to time, weirdos use jam. It's not in our snacks, so this is interesting.
A heavenly
If you can get like mini Swiss rolls, which are like a chocolate log type idea, where it's like a sponge cake that's rolled up, and you get jam and cream in the bit that's rolled up. You do get mini ones of those that are kind of like about the length of your finger or something, about 2 fingers thick. So you'd have kind of a jam in that, but you wouldn't really detect that it was. You wouldn't bite into it and think, oh, I can taste jam in there. You just know that there's something sweet and nice in there along with the cream. But what is got on there isn't jam. You don't get. Well, maybe they technically describe it as jam on their blurb, but realistically, it's a blob of fairly hard jelly, so that you end up kind of putting them in your mouth, letting the chocolate melt, and then you kind of get to access the jelly part, which is really tangy orange. Why orange and mint all the time? I'm not sure. I think it's just the 2 easiest, most straightforward flavours for them to keep reproducing. And orange is a great one to make nice and tangy and sharp, which is a good contrast to the nice sweet chocolate, especially with the cake part. Mint, it just makes chocolate a little bit more refreshing, I guess, if that's the right word, because it's obviously not actually refreshing, but I think that's why we end up seeing a lot of mint and orange in the chocolates. But I say a lot, you're probably only on about 2% of all the chocolate bars out there, 1% maybe. It's not really a thing. It's just if you are going to get a flavour like that, then those are likely to crop up in it somewhere along the line.
Combo that can be enjoyed with tea, coffee, or right out of the box.
That's an
Yeah, we're saying enjoy with tea and coffee. You don't go dipping them into your hot drink. If you dip that into your drink, then it's like getting a normal foot sponge cake and putting that into your coffee. You'd get exactly the same result. I think the bloke made the original video. I think that it's just his personal preferences, and he's trying to make out that they're normal, but I just don't think that they are.
Another attribute of some of these is that some of the most popular sweets tend to be things that you can pair with dunking into stuff, or pair with a nice afternoon snack, something like that.
If you're going to have your lunch, one of the big things that you get in the UK that you don't seem to get as much in the US is, say, halfway through the day when you're at work, if you go to a local shop to get some, especially a supermarket, to get something for dinner, you get a lot of sandwich deals, so you can get pre-packed sandwiches. You get a lot of meal deals, so that for a discounted price, you kind of get your sandwiches, packet of crisps, and some pop, and usually a chocolate bar. You can either have crisps or a chocolate bar. And that's the sort of time when you eat a chocolate bar, you sit down for your midday, you want something sugary. But biscuits, they're just morning or mid-afternoon or something. Yeah, you can eat them anytime, but if you was going to eat biscuits, then it'd be more like them when you're sitting down with a coffee for half an hour or something. You wouldn't really sit down with a chocolate bar then, and you definitely wouldn't go dipping your Jaffa cakes in your coffee. Not unless you're very, very odd.
Whereas there's no real culture of that kind of thing. Sitting down with tea and enjoying a what's this called? Jaffa cake. There's no concept of that in the United States. So
McVitie's Jaffa Cakes, deliciously self-centered.
Although orange jam flavouring is preferred, Jaffa cakes are...
The orange again. The orange flavoring. What is that? Is it that good?
Yeah, like I said, it's because it's
a
a
little
tangy.
random to me. I'm not going to lie. The orange flavoring, but okay.
Deliciously self-centered.
Although orange jam flavouring is preferred, Jaffa cakes have also been sold in other flavours as well, from strawberry and lemon and lime to blackcurrant. Yum. We think we might actually go enjoy a few right now.
Might be alright, but
I like these commercials, by the way. I'm listening to him, but I'm also watching the commercials for the first time. They're random. They're funny. They would get me to be a customer.
McVitie's Jaffa Cakes, the zesty mischief of McVitie's.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Watch Mojo UK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest...
Okay, that's it. That is it. The top 10 British sweets. There you go. I liked that. That was by Watch
just his
Mojo UK, by the way. I give that a like.
they're just Mojo's top 10. They're definitely not the most popular sweets in the UK. And I know that he's not looking at the most popular overall, he's looking at the most popular that you can't get in America. But I'm sure there must be a lot of others, especially if the only Cadbury's that you're seeing is Cadbury's Cream Egg, because Cadbury's is one of the largest chocolate producers and sweets, chocolate bars, that sort of stuff in the UK. You've got a couple of other companies, Roundtree's and Nestle and stuff, but Cadbury's, they really do hold the general monopoly for general sort of sweets.
Thanks to Amazon, I've become a fan of several British candies. I love British Smarties and the Aero Bar. Yeah, I gotta order some of this stuff. Learning about it on the video is a lot of fun, but eating them would be even more fun.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Because some of these, I understand what they're saying. They can even read the ingredients to me. But, you can't truly experience
it's not
a
gonna
British
work, is it?
sweet until you
You
eat
need
it.
to eat it.
But this was perfect for at least making me aware of their existence. And they are some of them are the same as some American candies that remind me of them. But some of these are just out of right field or just out of nowhere. Just stuff that has to do more with the culture of Britain, I think, which is really fascinating. I never thought of candy and sweets as identifying with a culture, but they do. They definitely do, and that's amazing. It's cool. Anyway, if you thought this video was amazing and cool as well.
Okay, I think he's pretty much at the end of his video. Yeah, Jaffa cakes, they're not really sweets. I don't know why they were even lumped in with it. For actual sweets, if you want, like actual chews and type things, then there's loads of those, and I guess that they're probably going to be generically pretty much the same in both our countries, just with different packaging and styles and stuff like that. For chocolate bars, I would have thought because Cadbury's is now American, because I think that Kraft own Cadbury's. I think they do now. Anybody that knows in the comments whether Cadbury's is now owned by Kraft, add it to the comments. But yeah, a lot of the chocolate bars throughout the UK, there's a lot nicer ones than what he's mentioned. Like I said, Star bars, they're quite nice. Lion bars, not so nice as what they used to be. But there are just dozens, but I'll just be rambling out names that mean nothing to you, so there's no point me doing that. But the ones that he's chosen, some of them are quite popular, and they're all still sold, and they all are popular. But whether they're the most popular or the nicest, I'm not sure about that. And thinking that Cadbury's make most of them, then I would assume that you probably can't get most of them in the US, because you said the only Cadbury's product that you're seeing is the Cadbury's Cream Egg. And even that, I suspect, is probably different in the US to what it is in the UK, because your chocolate's different for a start. So if it had proper British chocolate on it, I would have thought that you would have remembered quite distinctly having the Cadbury's Cream Egg, because I think our chocolate's quite a lot creamier than yours. So it will stand out, I would have thought. But I don't know, anybody that does know, put it into the comment section. And also other countries that have been watching this, especially the ones in Europe, are you getting the same chocolate bars as us? Or are your chocolate bars being steered by other countries? By other companies? Yeah, also the people listening across Europe. Now, I know that I've got a feeling, I keep thinking that Cadbury's was bought by a German company for a while, and then it went through to an American company, but I'm not sure about that. Somebody put in the comments if you know. It might have just been Heinz that went to Germany, I'm not sure. But yeah, I guess that you're going to have different brands, different companies across Europe as well as in the US. But is there any crossover? Because, shipment between EU countries and UK and that sort of stuff, it's always been pretty easy. So if that chocolate is nice, then maybe it would be shipped over to your countries as well. Or is it just that our chocolate's the same as most European chocolate, but American chocolate is different to everybody else's chocolate? And I kind of suspect that probably is the case. Anybody that's been to all of those countries, you'd be the best probably to answer the question. If there's anybody out there that's listening to this, then add to the comments what the differences are, because you're probably the best people to actually answer what the differences between all of these different things are. Okay, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.